As AI continues to reshape our world, our jobs, our relationships, even our faith, it leaves many Christians wondering, is this technology a gift from God or a threat to His design? If you've ever felt unsure, overwhelmed, or even afraid of where AI is heading, you're not alone. But the good news is, the Bible gives us timeless wisdom to help us navigate even the most modern questions. In this video, I'm going to answer all your questions regarding this technology and analyze the scripture to discover what God really says about AI, and you might be surprised by what we find. But before we proceed, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, so that way you can always keep in touch with the latest videos about the Bible. Now onto the video. Have you ever asked a question to your phone and it answered you like magic? Maybe you've used Siri, Alexa, or even seen a robot in a movie that talks and acts almost like a real person. Some computers today can even write stories, make music, or play games with you. That kind of smart technology is called artificial intelligence, or just AI. Now, artificial intelligence might sound like something from the future, but it's already a big part of our world. People use AI to help with things like driving cars, talking to customers, diagnosing diseases, or even creating art. Can seem amazing, and maybe even a little scary too. So, it's natural to ask, is it okay? Is it right to make machines that think? That's where the Bible comes in. The Bible is full of wisdom. It tells us who we are, who God is, and how we should live. But here's the interesting part. The Bible was written a very, very long time ago, long before electricity, computers, or the internet. So, no, it never mentions robots, apps, or AI by name. Still, that doesn't mean the Bible has nothing to say about it. Think of the Bible like a map. Even if it doesn't show every street in your town, it gives you a direction, a path to follow. The Bible might not talk about technology directly, but it does talk a lot about things like human wisdom, creation, responsibility, and what it means to be made in God's image. And all of that can help us understand how we should think about AI today. Some people worry that AI could become dangerous or even take over human jobs or decisions. Others believe AI is just a helpful tool, like a pencil or a computer, something we can use to make the world better. But no matter what side people are on, one big question keeps coming up. Would the Bible say that AI is good or bad? That's the journey we're starting now. We're going to look at what the Bible teaches and see how it can help us answer this big question. And don't worry, we won't give the answer right away. We're going to walk through it step by step, taking time to understand each part. Let's talk a little more about what artificial intelligence really is. That big phrase, artificial intelligence, might sound a bit confusing, but it's actually simple when you break it down. Artificial means something that's not natural, something man-made. And intelligence means the ability to think, learn, and solve problems. So, artificial intelligence is just a fancy way of saying, a machine that can think like a person, or at least pretend to. Want to know what happens next? Then click the like button so that way I can keep making more videos for you to help you follow the path of God. Imagine a robot that can answer your questions, or a computer that can beat you at chess. Or maybe a program that can understand what you're saying, talk back to you, and even learn from what you say. That's AI. It's not alive and it doesn't have feelings or a brain like us, but it can still do things that seem very smart. AI comes in lots of different forms. Some are super simple, like a calculator that solves math problems. Others are very advanced, like self-driving cars or chatbots that can have whole conversations. Some AI systems are even used in hospitals to help doctors find illnesses faster, or in schools to help students learn in new ways. But here's something important to remember. AI doesn't really think the way people do. It doesn't have emotions, a conscience, or a soul. It doesn't know right from wrong. It just follows instructions written by people, lines of code and rules. It can be incredibly helpful, but it also depends completely on how we choose to use it. And that brings up an important question. If AI can act like a human, does that make it equal to a human? Some people get really excited about AI and treat it like it's more than just a tool. Others feel uncomfortable, wondering if we're trying to play God by making machines that think. So now that we know what AI is and what it can do, it's time to ask something even bigger. What does the Bible say about what makes humans special? Because before we can decide if AI is good or bad, we need to understand what makes us different from everything else. Now that we've talked about what AI is, let's look at something really important. What makes human beings different? The Bible tells us that people aren't just smart animals or talking bodies. We are something completely unique in all of creation. And the reason why comes from one special verse near the very beginning of the Bible. In Genesis 1 verse 26 it says, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image after our likeness.'" That's a powerful statement. It means that humans were created in the image of God. But what does that mean exactly? Does it mean we look like God? Not really. God doesn't have a physical body like we do. Instead, being made in God's image has to do with who we are on the inside. It means we reflect parts of God's nature, like His ability to think, to love, to choose, to create, and to care. No other creature on earth, no animal, no tree, not even angels, are said to be made in God's image. Only humans. That's why we can tell the difference between right and wrong. That's why we ask big questions like, why am I here? Or what happens after I die? We were made to connect with God, to have a relationship with Him, and to represent Him in the world. So when we look at artificial intelligence and ask, is it like us? The Bible would say no. AI can do smart things, but it's not made in God's image. It doesn't have a soul. It can't love God or pray. It can't feel real joy or guilt. It's not a person, it's a tool. That doesn't mean AI is useless or evil. It just means we shouldn't confuse it with something it's not. A hammer is great for building a house, but you wouldn't try to have a conversation with it, right? In the same way, AI might be amazing at certain tasks, but it doesn't have the heart or spirit that God gave to people. This idea is super important because some people today are starting to treat AI almost like it's a person. They name their AI assistants, talk to them like friends, or even trust them more than real people. But the Bible reminds us, only human beings carry the image of God. That's what gives each of us value and dignity, from the youngest baby to the oldest grandparent. So before we ask whether AI is right or wrong, we need to understand this key truth. Nothing we create, no matter how smart, can replace the unique value of a human life. Now that we understand that only humans are made in the image of God, here's an interesting question. If AI isn't human, why does it sometimes seem so human? That's one of the reasons people get confused or even amazed by artificial intelligence. Some AI programs can talk like us, write like us, and even sound like they have feelings. There are AI chatbots that can hold full conversations, AI voices that sound just like real people, and even AI-generated videos where it looks like someone is speaking, but it's not really them. But just because AI can act like a person doesn't mean it is a person. It's kind of like a puppet. A puppet might move its mouth and say funny things, but we all know there's a hand inside, controlling everything. AI is similar. It can respond like it knows what's going on, but behind it all are humans who programmed it, and massive amounts of data it has learned from. It's copying patterns, not thinking or feeling on its own. Imagine this: you write a poem about your best friend. You talk about your memories, how much you care about them, and what makes your friendship special. Now imagine a computer writes a poem too. It might sound nice and even use the same kind of words, but the computer doesn't have a best friend. It doesn't feel anything. It's just mixing and matching ideas it has seen before. This is super important when we think about the difference between imitating and being. AI can imitate human intelligence, but it's not truly intelligent in the way humans are. It doesn't have emotions, morals, or self-awareness. It doesn't wonder why it exists. It doesn't worry about doing the right thing. It just does what it was programmed or trained to do. That's why we have to be careful. If we forget that AI is just a tool, we might start trusting it too much, or even thinking of it as equal to humans. Some people might use AI to make big decisions about hiring workers, diagnosing illnesses, or judging people's actions. But if AI doesn't understand emotions or right and wrong, should we really trust it to make those kinds of choices? The Bible teaches that wisdom is more than just knowledge. It's knowing how to use knowledge in the right way, with love, justice, and truth. AI can gather information, but it can't be wise in a biblical sense. That's something only people can do because God gave us hearts, souls, and minds to think deeply and make moral decisions. So yes, AI can be clever. It can surprise us and even help us in amazing ways. But we must always remember, looking human doesn't make something human. Acting smart doesn't make something wise. Only people are made in God's image. Only people can reflect His love, justice, and creativity in a true and meaningful way. To better understand how the Bible views technology, let's take a look at one of the earliest stories where people tried to do something big using their own clever ideas. It's found in Genesis 11, and it's called the Tower of Babel. Here's what happened. A long time ago, after Noah's flood, all the people on earth still spoke the same language. They decided to settle in one place and build a huge city. But not just any city, they wanted to build a tower that reached all the way up to heaven. They said, "Let's make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the whole earth." They didn't want to honor God. They wanted to show off how powerful and smart they were. Now, building a tall tower isn't a bad thing by itself. It's actually kind of impressive. They used bricks and tools, probably some of the best technology they had at the time. So the problem wasn't the tower, it was the reason they were building it. Their goal wasn't to glorify God, it was to glorify themselves. God saw what they were doing and he wasn't pleased. He confused their language so they couldn't understand each other anymore, and the project came to a stop. The people were scattered across the earth just like God had originally intended. So what does this have to do with artificial intelligence? Well, the Tower of Babel shows us something really important. Technology isn't bad on its own, it depends on how and why we use it. The people in Genesis 11 used their creativity and tools to make something big, but their hearts were full of pride. They weren't trying to help others or serve God. They wanted to be famous, powerful, and independent from God. That same danger exists today with AI. If we use AI just to make life better, solve problems, and serve people, that's great. But if we use AI to show off, control others, or feel like we don't need God anymore, that's a problem. The Bible warns us over and over again about the danger of pride. It's not wrong to build, invent, or create. God gave us minds and hands to do amazing things. But when we use our gifts to push God out of the picture, we're walking down the wrong path. So this story gives us a clear reminder. What matters most is not what we build but why we build it. Artificial intelligence can be powerful just like that tower. But if we forget who gave us the ability to create in the first place, we might end up using that power for the wrong reasons. Now that we've seen that technology itself isn't good or bad, but depends on how it's used, let's go a little deeper. The Bible shows us that tools and inventions are neutral. It's the heart of the person using them that really matters. Think about something simple like a knife. A knife can be used to hurt someone or it can be used to prepare a meal and feed a family. The knife didn't change, but the purpose behind it did. In the same way, artificial intelligence is a tool, and whether it becomes helpful or harmful depends on the intentions of the people using it. The Bible often talks about the importance of our motives, the reasons behind our actions. Proverbs 16 verse 2 says, "All a person's ways seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord." That means even if we think what we're doing is fine, God looks at our hearts. He sees what's really going on inside. So when it comes to AI, we have to ask honest questions like, why are we building this? Who will it help or hurt? Are we trying to make the world better or just make money and power for ourselves? If someone creates AI to help doctors save lives, that's a wonderful thing. If it's used to translate languages so people can understand each other, that's helpful. But if AI is used to spread lies, manipulate people, spy on others, or replace human relationships, then we're crossing a line. The Bible also teaches that we're responsible for how we use the things we create. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells a story about 3 servants who were given different amounts of money to manage while their master was away. The ones who used what they were given wisely were praised. The one who did nothing with it was corrected. This shows us that God cares not just about what we have, but how we use it. He wants us to be wise, thoughtful, and faithful. And that includes how we use technology, especially something as powerful as AI. So here's the big idea for this topic. Technology is not sinful by itself, but our motives and actions can be. AI isn't a problem unless we turn it into one by using it in ways that go against God's design for truth, love, and justice. That's why before we get too excited, or too afraid, about artificial intelligence, we need to look at our hearts. Because in the end, what matters most to God isn't the machine, it's the person using it. By now, we've seen that AI can do some pretty smart things. It can solve problems, write essays, and even help people learn new skills. But even with all that, there's something important we need to understand. AI has limits, and those limits matter. You see, just because something is smart, doesn't mean it's wise. AI can process huge amounts of data and make quick decisions based on patterns. It can even simulate human conversation or creativity. But wisdom is something deeper. Wisdom knows when to speak and when to stay quiet. Wisdom knows how to treat people with kindness, how to forgive, how to be patient. That kind of wisdom doesn't come from a computer, it comes from God. The Bible says in Proverbs 2 verse 6, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." That means true wisdom doesn't come from machines or even just from people. It comes from God's truth. It's shaped by love, justice, and a heart that wants to do what's right. AI doesn't have that kind of heart. It doesn't understand kindness, compassion, or mercy. It can be programmed to mimic those things, but it doesn't feel them. It can't make a moral decision based on love or concern for someone else. It just does what it's told based on data and logic. Imagine this. If someone is sad because they lost a loved one, you might sit next to them, give them a hug, or pray for them. AI could say, "I'm sorry for your loss," but it doesn't really mean it. It can't feel empathy. It doesn't understand what grief is. That difference is huge. This is why we should never treat AI like it can replace real people or take the place of real wisdom. We shouldn't ask AI to make decisions about things that require deep moral understanding, like judging right and wrong, offering spiritual advice, or giving comfort to someone who's hurting. Those are things that need a human touch, and even more than that, they need God's wisdom. The danger is that some people might start trusting AI more than they trust each other, or even more than they trust God. But the Bible warns us about leaning too much on our own understanding. Proverbs 3 verse 5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." AI can be a helpful assistant, but it should never become our guide for how to live. It doesn't have the ability to seek God's will, and it can't lead us in truth. That's something only the Holy Spirit can do. This is a question a lot of people are asking. Can artificial intelligence be good or evil? Can it make moral choices like humans do? To answer that, we have to start with something simple. AI doesn't have a heart, a soul, or a conscience. It doesn't have the ability to choose between right and wrong the way we do. So, in that sense, AI isn't good or evil by itself. It just does what it's told. Think of it like this. A paintbrush can be used to create a beautiful painting or to scribble over someone else's work in anger. The paintbrush isn't good or bad, it just follows the hand that's holding it. That's how AI works. It follows instructions and learns patterns based on the data it's given. If it's trained on good data and used for good purposes, it can do good things. But if it's trained on bad data or used with the wrong goals, it can cause a lot of harm. The Bible teaches that good and evil come from the heart of a person. In Matthew 15 verse 19 Jesus says, "For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, slander." He doesn't say evil comes from tools or objects, it comes from people. So when we ask, can AI be evil? What we're really asking is, what are people using AI for? If someone uses AI to lie, cheat, or spy on others, that's not the AI being evil. It's the person using it in a harmful way. If someone uses AI to help the sick, educate children, or stop dangerous crimes, that's a good use of the same kind of technology. That's why we have to be so careful with how AI is designed, trained, and controlled. Because while AI doesn't have intentions of its own, it amplifies the intentions of the people behind it. And here's something else to think about. Sometimes AI systems accidentally cause harm, not because they're trying to, but because they don't fully understand the situation. Maybe a program makes a decision based on race or age because of biased data. Or maybe it spreads false information because it can't tell the difference between truth and a lie. Again, this isn't because AI is evil, it's because it doesn't have human judgment and it needs careful oversight. So what does all this mean for us? It means that we, as humans, are the moral ones. We're the ones made in the image of God. We're the ones who are responsible for how we use what we create. AI might seem powerful, but it doesn't replace our responsibility to choose what's right. As artificial intelligence keeps getting smarter, it's starting to take over jobs and tasks that used to be done by people. It can answer phones, write emails, translate languages, create music, and even preach a sermon if you ask it to. That leads to a really big question. Is there a point where AI crosses the line and starts replacing things that shouldn't be replaced? Let's think about work for a moment. Work isn't just something we do to make money. The Bible shows us that work is part of how God made us. In Genesis, God gave Adam and Eve jobs, to take care of the garden, name the animals, and fill the earth. Work was part of their purpose before sin even entered the world. That means work isn't a punishment, it's a gift. It gives people a chance to use their creativity, solve problems, and help others. It's something that brings dignity and purpose. When we start handing all of that over to machines, we have to pause and ask, are we helping people, or are we taking something important away from them? It's not just about jobs either. AI is also being used in roles that involve deep human connection, like counseling, teaching, or even spiritual advice. But here's the thing, AI can talk, but it can't listen with love. It can answer, but it can't care. A teacher doesn't just give information, she sees when a student is struggling. A pastor doesn't just speak, he prays with people, walks with them through pain, and helps them grow closer to God. No machine can replace that kind of presence. The Bible talks a lot about being a neighbor, about bearing each other's burdens, and about loving one another with real care. Those things can't be automated. They require human hearts. And when we start letting AI do the work of the heart, we lose something sacred. That doesn't mean AI should never be used. It can be a powerful support tool. It can help doctors make faster diagnoses. It can help businesses be more efficient. But the key word is support. When AI becomes a replacement for human relationships, compassion, and purpose, we're going too far. After everything we've talked about, What's the final answer? Does the Bible accept or condemn artificial intelligence? Well, here's the interesting part. The Bible never mentions AI directly. There were no computers, robots, or digital programs in Bible times. But the Bible does give us principles, clear truths about God, people, wisdom, and the right use of power. And those principles help us think clearly about something even as modern as AI. Let's review a few of those truths. Only humans are made in God's image. AI is not. Only people have souls, emotions, and moral responsibility. AI does not. Technology is neither good nor evil. It depends on how we use it. God calls us to use our gifts with love, justice, and humility. And most of all, true wisdom and guidance come from God, not from machines. So does the Bible condemn AI? Not really. But does it accept it without caution? Definitely not. The Bible encourages creativity and the use of our God-given abilities, but always in a way that honors Him and serves others. When technology helps us do that, it's a good thing. But when it pulls us away from God, from love, or from human connection, it becomes a danger. Artificial intelligence is a powerful tool. It can be used to heal or to harm. It can help people flourish or push them aside. The Bible reminds us that our hearts, not our machines, are what determine the outcome. So in the end, the Bible neither fully condemns nor fully celebrates AI. Instead, it calls us to be wise, humble, and faithful as we walk through a world filled with new technologies. It challenges us to ask, are we using AI in a way that reflects God's character? Or are we using it to replace what only God and His image bearers can do? That's the real question. And it's one we need to keep asking, not just once but again and again, as the world continues to change. Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you use AI? What are your thoughts on artificial intelligence? Tell me your opinions in the comments and I will make sure to reply.